Okay, welcome to Day 2 Notes. For this unit, remember it's Unit 5, which is all about writing equations, and we're on to Objective 3, which is writing equations when we're given word problems. We're going to start with our review. The first review problem asks us to solve for y. So we have an equation that we want to solve, so we're going to separate our two sides, remembering to do the same thing to both sides. The first thing we need to do is to move this x term to the other side. Remember, we undo addition and subtraction first, and so moving that whole term is done by addition or subtraction. We have a negative 3x. To undo that, we need to add 3x. That would give us 0 on this side. And so we do need to do that on the other side as well. Again, it's adding. When we add, we are left with 5y on the left side, and on the right side, since our goal is that y equals mx plus b form, we're going to put the x term first, it's positive, and then we're going to add the constant 15. Finishing this up, to get y alone, we're going to need to divide. We have 5 times y, we undo to multiplication by division, and then dividing each of the terms on the right by 5 as well, we are left with y alone on the left side. On the right side, 3 divided by 5 is 3/5, and then we have that multiplying x, plus 15 divided by 5, which is 3. And we get our equation in slope-intercept form, which is done by solving the equation for y. Okay, we'll repeat that again here in problem B. Same goal is to get y alone. The first step, again, is done by undoing addition and subtraction. So we're going to move this 2x term. It's positive this time. So to move it, we're going to subtract. That eliminates the 2x from the left side. And we're left with, be careful with this one, the minus here translates to a negative. So we have negative 4y equals, and again, putting the x term first, negative 2x, and a positive 8, so plus 8. And now we're going to, again, get this y alone, and it's negative 4 times y, so we're going to divide by negative 4. Dividing on the right side, we're going to apply that to each of the terms. And that gives us our y alone, like we were looking for. Here, dividing negative 2 by 4, if we divide that and simplify, we get 1/2 x. And then 8 divided by negative 4 gives me negative 2, so we're going to write that as minus 2. And we have an equation where y is alone. That's the whole idea of solving for y. The second review problem asks us to write an equation of a line perpendicular to the line y equals 2x plus 8, passing through the point 8, 10. This perpendicular is key to notice. Perpendicular, as we talked about a lot in our last objective, perpendicular tells us that our slopes are opposite reciprocals. Opposite means we change the sign. Reciprocal means we flip. So our original equation, when we look at that, is y equals 2x plus 8. In that equation, the 2 is the slope of that original line. A line with a slope that is perpendicular to this slope of 2 has the opposite, was positive, now it's negative. And reciprocal, 2 as a fraction is 2 over 1. So taking the reciprocal of that gives me 1 over 2. So now we have an equation that has a slope of negative 1/2. And it has to pass through the point 8, 10. So we write our equation using point slope form. Y minus the y value of the point, which is 10, equals m, negative 1/2, times x minus the x value, which is 8. And as we're doing with all of our equations, we do want to write this in slope-intercept form. So we're going to do the work to do that. First step is to distribute. And our equation changes to y minus 10 equals distributing negative 1/2 x. And the negative 1/2 times a minus 8 gives me a positive 4, so plus 4. Almost there, we need to get this y alone just like we were doing in the problems for 1. Now our step to undo this, we have y minus 10. And so undoing minus 10 is done by adding 10, not 18, 10. So I'll add 10 on both sides. Make sure you add 10 to your constant since 10 does not have a variable. Here now we have the y alone and we get the equation y equals, on the right the negative 1/2 x does not change. We have a 4 and a plus 10 to get 14. So our original line was y equals 2x plus 8, had a slope of 2. The line perpendicular to that is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 14. So it has that opposite reciprocal slope. And the one we're looking for in particular is the one that passes through 8, 10. And so this is the line that gives us, or this is the equation that gives us that line. Okay? Oh, apologize for that being off the page, off the screen a little bit. For number 3, we notice the percentage problems. It says the Mustang softball team will sell coupon books that give a 25% discount on your total order at Buffalo Wild Wings. If your total was $71.55, how much will the new total be after the discount? So key piece to notice is one, we have a discount, so we're going to be decreasing our price, and that we're looking for the new total. It's not asking what the discount is, but what is the actual new cost for this meal, I'm assuming, since we're at Buffalo Wild Wings. So our original total cost is $71.55. That's the whole. So we have $71.55. Our goal in the first step here is to find the $25 discount. So we have 25% out of 100. And we want to know what is that discount. Okay, if we cross multiply, we get 1,788.8. And then we get equals 100x. We have 1,788.8 equals 100x. So solving that equation, we divide each side by 100. And we get x equals $17.80, rounding for money, 89 cents. Now that is the actual discount. That is not our new price because we're looking for the new total for their bill at Buffalo Wild Wings. So to find that new total, we take the original total, $71.55, and subtract the discount. Once we do that, we get a new total for our bill of $53.66. And we've found the cost after the discount has been applied. Okay, be careful to read these problems carefully so that we know whether the question's really asking for just the discount or what the new total would be. And then as we continue on, we're writing an equation of a line again. So we've gone back to our more recent material. This is our Unit 4 material. Asks us to write an equation of a line that passes through these 2 points. I've asked you this multiple times, but the first thing that we need to find when we write an equation is always the same. In number 2, the first thing we found was slope. How we found that slope was different though. This one was asking us for a line perpendicular to a given line. And so we used our knowledge of perpendicular lines and their slopes to find that slope. Here we're going to start by finding the slope again, but now we're using our slope formula. We know that to find our slope given 2 points, we do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And here we have 2 points. We can label them x1, y1, x2, y2. And we can set up our equation, 10 for our y2 minus negative 10. I'm sorry, that original y2 was negative 10. So negative 10 minus negative 10 over 4 minus 8, our x2 minus x1. As we simplify that, we get 0 over 4, which is 0. When we get a slope that's 0 or undefined, we need to pause. This is one of our special cases for our lines. If we think about this, remember a slope of 0 comes from a horizontal line. When we have one of these special cases with a slope of 0 or a slope that's undefined, the easiest way to come up with the equation is to actually go back and study the points. As I look at these points, I notice that they each have the same y value. The y value is negative 10 for both of those points. The fast way to write the equation of that line is to recognize that that line can be written as y equals negative 10. showing that every single point on that line would have a y value of negative 10. These two do, as well as any other point that would be on that line. If this were a line that had the same x values, we'd write it as x equals whatever value those both x values are. Okay? That is our special case, and it's one we have to make sure we think about, and that pausing at that moment and thinking carefully is what we really need to be careful to do. Okay, the last one we're going to do in the review is a graphing. It asks us to graph the equation, so we need to keep in mind that my final answer is this. It's the graph. A lot of you are right now giving me your slope and your y-intercept and skipping that step that asks for the graph. But the question specifically is looking for a graph. This is work, the work that goes into drawing the graph. But the graph itself is actually the answer to this question. So we need to recognize slope and y-intercept. Those are the two key things that we need for our graph. Our equation is written in y equals mx plus b. The m is what's multiplying the x. So here our m, in this case, is 1/2 times x, so 1/2 is multiplying the x. Then our b, in this problem, since it's plus b, in this case I have to take into count the minus, so this gives me a -3 for our b. Okay, we need to remember what that means. That means our b value tells us our y-intercept. So we have a y-intercept of -3. Plotting that, we plot the point down at -3. And then we have a slope of 1/2. Remember, slope is found by rise over run. So we have to go up 1 and over 2. We do that a few times to get a nice, accurately drawn line. We can even continue that pattern backwards by going down 1 and left 2. And the more points we draw, the more accurate our line will be drawn onto the graph. Our final answer is the graph. That is really what the problem is asking us to do. So please make sure as you see these problems that you do not skip the graph and just fill in the slope and y-intercept. Okay, now it's your turn to practice. So please pause the video and work on your Practice 2 worksheet. This Practice 2 worksheet is yellow. Use that yellow worksheet and work on problems 1 through 5.